Midnight YouTube. So I hope everyone is well, and in this video I want to share a few things that I just want to talk about, something that has been on my heart for a very long time, um, and it's surrounding repatriation, returning to your roots as a so-called Black American or wherever you are coming from in the diaspora. um, this idea of being African, that being trendy but also overrated. I want to talk and touch on those things because I see a lot of, there's a lot of hype around being African these days, and there's a lot of hype around repatriation these days, and there's a lot of hype around returning to Africa, returning to your roots, your ancestral land, returning to the land of your ancestors and things of that nature. And yeah, I want to touch on it because spiritually, no one knows what they're doing. No one seems to know what is going on in the grand scheme of things. And I want to talk about how repatriation and being African, returning to your roots, and going into that is kind of like, not even kind of, it is, that's like another playground for spirits, for evil spirits. What you call the devil is just another playground. And all of you who are playing into that, whether you are on the Godtinent, whether you are in Africa, native born in Africa, whether you are a part of the diaspora, if you're playing into that, you are most definitely a part of the game at this point. There's so much hype around all of these things. There's so much, hype and anticipation, sadness even, anticipation. I said that already, but it's just so much energy around like getting citizenship of an African country, because you somehow think that if you get citizenship, you're being granted citizenship, you can be here long term. That's like the government's way of recognizing you as, a value of benefit to their country. That's the government recognizing you as one of them, or an African, or a native to the land, returning home. There's like them, it's like them welcoming you back home. But I'm gonna be honest, whenever a government is doing that, they're just walking you right back onto a plantation. It's like you left one plantation and walked through the door right into another one. But this one, it actually might just be worse. Because, first of all, you don't need any validation for you from anything or anyone else for you to be so-called African or to be what you are. Look at your skin. Like, look at your skin. Look at your hair. That's all the validation that you need. That's all the confirmation, the proclamation that you need, that you are what you are. These governments are no better and no different from the governments in Europe, the governments of America, the governments of North America. All of these governments all over the world are all the same, even the African ones. Especially the African ones may even be worse because, like I said, they look like you. So you think that that's progression. You think that that's development. These African governments, doesn't matter which country it is, they are not sovereign entities. They're actually fairly new. Don't let the whole Independence Day things from every different countries fool you. They are not independent and they are not sovereign. They are still operating and being used as puppets and pawns by the same evil spirit, the same evil entity that governs every single other, that is the force of every other single government, the American government. It's no different. It's no different. It's no different. So if you think that because you're becoming a citizen, a lot of these governments get not public, they get quote unquote foreign aid. They get foreign aid. And this foreign aid allows them to be able to implement, it allows them to implement policies to keep their citizens in check. It allows them to implement policies that can further the progression or further their economy, that can further their just the development of their system, of the structure. And what is that system? To build roads, hospitals, clinics, a bunch of stuff that is against nature. So for you to repatriate, that's you returning to your nature. That's you returning essentially to being more intimate with the land. And yes, a lot of people on the continent are a lot closer to nature. Though those ones who are closer to nature, they're trying to move towards what you're running from. But you come here and it's like you're blind because you are so focused on returning to Africa, returning to your roots and your ancestors and things like that. But you're literally being led into into an even darker pit, an even darker one, an even darker one. Like you're not going anywhere fast, you're not improving. It's still perpetuating the same thing. It's the same thing. And then let me also say this, because a lot of Black Americans come here, a lot of people from the diaspora, they come here and they get disappointed, they leave, and all of this different stuff. The land is also purifying you. God is also purifying you. The people here, a lot of people here, they do not care about you returning to your roots. These governments do not care about you returning to your roots. They do not care about you returning to Africa as an African who was sold or stolen or whatever case. They do not care about anything that you went through or your ancestors went through in slavery. They do not care about that. Let's just get that out of the way. They do not care. They do not care. Some of the people here, they do not care. They don't. They don't care. So even, because there's a lot of things that can be touched on. And I want to touch on this too, because I know when a lot of people in the diaspora, specifically I'm talking about Black Americans, Black Americans are the ones with the platform, the ones that make things trendy when they get into it. So Black Americans popularize things. When you popularize things like the Bantu expansion, because you've been beaten, like it's been beaten out of you, like this idea of being African, your language, culture, all of this stuff has been beaten out of you, wiped from your brain. So you so desperately want to reconnect with that. So you start to popularize things like the Bantu expansion. Things like Egypt, areas like Egypt, the dynasties. Don't get fooled. None of those things, they aren't something to be proud of. The Bantu expansion is not something to be proud of. The Bantu expansion was actually another form of colonization. To be honest, it was another form of colonization. They performed genocide, they raped, they enslaved. Look at what they did to other Bantu groups, other Bantu people, other tribes similar to themselves. Look at how they even sold, actually, and enslaved you all. Look at how we ended up in the West. Look at how do you think you ended up in the West? White people didn't just come and throw you on the boat. You were sold. So you think the people in the government care about you? They're the ones that sold you out. And not only that, but look at what they've done and what they still do to people like the Khoi people, the San people, or those Khoi San speaking groups from Eastern to Southern Africa. Those people are treated some of the worst that I've seen in the Godtinent of Africa. And it's other Bantu groups, those groups who are part of the Bantu expansion. So we should keep that in mind, because This thing is it's a battlefield. It really is a spiritual war, and you can't expect to come to Africa and, you know, just reclaim yourself just by getting citizenship, by learning a different language, by like engaging yourself and immersing yourself in the cultures and the food and the music, the women, the men. You're always going to be an outsider. You're always going to be an outsider. And I'm not playing into on one side of the fence, because to be quite frank, the reason I say to be African is overrated is because look at how Africans behave towards other Africans on the continent. Trash. Walking around with such like big like heads, noses up in the air, all of these different things, when the foreigners, like black Americans, that they claim, some of them claim, oh, they're so welcoming, your ancestors came from here, come, 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 but they still have like this sense of entitlement, this sense of like they want to still exert this dominance, this superiority somehow. That's evil. That's what got all of this started. That's the reason why all of this started. It started here on the continent, and we can never forget that. So when you come to Africa, you need to know that this is not just war, but it's like it's purification time. Like it's purification, and Africa is not exempt. Africa is not exempt. In fact, Africa, that's why I said you went from one plantation and came to another one. This is the place. This is the place where it all started. So this is the place where it's gonna get it the worst. To be honest, even worse than like America. Those places, yeah, the spirits and all of the evil that's going on there and all of that craziness, none of that would exist if things hadn't spread from the continent, period. You can't flip it, you can't search it any other way. So if you want to big up yourself and be African, you do that, but you need to know what comes with that. So no, I'm not like into, if I go to America today, I will stand out from majority of all black Americans. If I go to Jamaica today, I will stand out from majority of all of them, like Jamaicans. If I go, any country I go to in, like on the continent in Africa, I somehow stand out, even if I look the same, and I can get caught up in, no, I look, I'm surrounded by people who look like me. I'm home on my ancestral land, which I am. God made me come here. God made me here. I can't be anything other than what I am. That's just that. But at the same time, if I go in these people's homes, I'm obviously different. There's something that's different. And I'm not getting caught in the rut. No one should get caught in the rut of, wanting to be accepted by these people. You can't want to be accepted so badly by them. Want them to acknowledge you, want them to validate you. These people can't validate or acknowledge anything. That evil spirit, that colonial spirit is here, and it's alive, and it's very much so operating all throughout Africa. So yeah, it's repatriation is not what you think. You need to focus on the Most High, to be honest. Getting yourself right and getting yourself together spiritually. Because all of these different systems, these governments, you going to be a citizen, a law-abiding citizen, to be honest, that's a slave. That's another way of saying slave. A law-abiding citizen, slave, just like in America. A slave, just like in Europe, UK, whatever. Anywhere on the continent, any African country, any government, they make you a citizen, a slave. So don't feel bad if they make it hard for you to get citizenship, to get paperwork, to get any type of status. Feel good about that, because you don't really want it the way that you think you do anyway. Leading you straight to hell. Keeping you in hell. So that's really what I wanted to share, because we have to be smart. We have to be wiser. We have to be able to see things differently, and that evil spirit really plays on people's weaknesses and knows what you want so badly. Look at how Ghana popularized or commercialized or packaged the year of return. Trash. Complete trash. Complete trash. These people are demons. They're minions. they don't know what they're doing. Some of them do, but the higher up ones, they know what they're doing. That whole COVID thing, look at how Ghana acted during COVID. It's a lot deeper than what we think, and this video may be controversial. It may, ruffle some feathers, but people need to know. You need to know what you're doing. And some people may just go along and still you think that development and all these things are good, but I'm gonna be honest. Another thing that I want to say, being African, returning to your roots, and being so proud to be this or to be that, whether you were born in Africa, you've been here your whole life, whether you were part of the diaspora, however that word goes, no matter where you are, where you're from, there's a lot of people, a lot of things, everyone a part that's playing into these games, into these tricks, are getting wiped off. Total destruction, total chaos. It's going to get to that point, period. It's getting to that point. So that's why I'm making this video, because choose which side you're on. It's down to that. You have to choose which side you're on. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm praying for everyone. I'm praying for us all. I shared this video with love. It may come off offensive. It may even come off as disrespectful. It may come off as rude. But, it is what it is. So, God, bye.